We stay in the region. The Israeli military has said that it has launched extensive strikes in the Gaza Strip over the past 24 hours as part of the initial stages of a fresh offensive on the besieged Palestinian territory. Israel's army said in a statement that the strikes were part of the expansion of the battle in the Gaza Strip with the goal of achieving all the war's objectives, including the release of the abducted and the defeat of Hamas. According to reports, thousands of Palestinians have been ordered by Israeli forces to flee parts of northern Gaza as indiscriminate airstrikes kill at least 115 people in the territory since dawn on Friday, according to reports. The offensive, known as Operation Gideon's Chariots, comes as Israel faces pressure to lift a sweeping aid blockade in return for a US-Israeli hostage released by Hamas. United Nations aid chief Tom Fletcher has said that time should not be wasted on an alternative US-backed proposal to deliver aid to Gaza. He added that the UN has proven a plan and 160,000 pallets of relief are ready to enter the Palestinian enclave right now. Fletcher earlier this week had questioned whether Israel would act decisively to prevent genocide in Gaza. In a letter to Fletcher on Friday, Israel's UN ambassador, Danny Danon, accused him of delivering a political sermon and weaponizing the word genocide against Israel. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has said that a lot of people are starving in Gaza, as a global hunger monitor reportedly warned that 500,000 people face starvation. He also gave comments on the Israeli Prime Minister, calling him an angry man who has fought hard and bravely. Here's what he said.
We're going to see what happens. I think a lot of good things are going to happen over the next month, and we're going to see. We have to help also out the Palestinians. You know, a lot of people are starving on Gaza, so we have to look at both sides. But we're going to do it. I think I can say that Bibi, he's an angry man, and he should be because of October 7th. And he's been hurt badly by that, but in another way he's been sort of helped because I think he's fought hard and bravely.
We're now joined by Jim Rice, Professor of International Law, once again to discuss this in more detail. Jim, thank you very much for joining us once again. We have seen a more intense bombardment of the Gaza Strip within the last couple of days. Some reports are saying 250 killed in the past 48 hours. How does this achieve Israel's objectives? They say that one of their top priorities is releasing the hostages, yet there's only been one hostage since resumed conflict in March. What are your thoughts on Israel's new intensified strategy in the Gaza Strip?
Well, you know, under the principles of international law, this flies in the face of everything that international humanitarian law stands for. So, well, the response by Israel after October 7th was justified. And of course, everyone would agree that the taking of the hostages was unjustified and was a criminal act. By this point, the continued bombing and they seem to be killing about 100 people per day, and the number of civilians seem to be, disproportionately large. I don't think that this is achieving any of Israel's goals, and certainly not in Israel's best interests.
Yes, and there are a lot of people raising, and a lot of international actors raising their concerns about this blockade that's been held over the Gaza Strip for the past 2 months, not letting any aid into the enclave. Reports of starvation of over 500,000 people are at risk. What are your thoughts on the blockade that Israel has imposed for over 70 days now?
Well, the use of food or the deprivation of food to a civilian population is just wrong. It's contrary to international humanitarian law, and I would argue that it constitutes a crime against humanity. What it's It's barbarous. It's awful. Food needs to be allowed in immediately. There's no justification for what Israel is doing in this case.
What are your thoughts on Donald Trump now? He has continued his rhetoric about feeding the people of Gaza with this plan, this privately backed plan. But we've seemed to have stopped getting statements about words of a ceasefire. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, in terms of his recent interview, I guess it was with Brett Baier on Fox News. I didn't see the whole interview, but it seems to me that Trump is growing increasingly frustrated with Netanyahu. And I think he kind of hinted there in that interview that Bibi, as he calls him, that Netanyahu has no real interest in seeing this war brought to an end, because once it is, Netanyahu will be ousted from office. There's a huge faction in the Israel Knesset, their parliament, that is arguing against Netanyahu. And I believe that Netanyahu is trying to drag the conflict out. And I believe that Trump realizes this, and he's becoming increasingly frustrated.
Jim, the public sentiment against Israel is growing, especially over this aid blockade. And obviously, one of the biggest allies of Israel is the United States. We've just seen Donald Trump conclude a tour of the region of the Middle East. He missed out Israel. Is this a sign that Donald Trump is souring on Benjamin Netanyahu's government?
I think it could be interpreted in that way. I think also Trump's main purpose for going to the Gulf countries, Saudi Arabia and Qatar and UAE, was a financial one and a transactional one. And furthermore, I think that Trump wanted to get along as much as possible with his new friends in the Middle East, and probably not going to Israel served that purpose very well. But I agree. I think that Trump is increasingly frustrated with Netanyahu.
Jim Rice, thank you very much for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you on the program. We stay in the region of the Middle East now. Israel has launched fresh air